We're trying to bring together security applications centered around incident management, public safety, and then physical security into an environment that allows us to collect data on key points of interest and then facilitate not only real-time analysis, but then retrospective analysis to help us in the future continue to shape policy, procedure, and then forecast funding, all those things to cover what we then discover as gaps or improvement areas, right?
Hello, and welcome to GovCast. I'm Sylvia Oakland. Federal return to office mandates are showcasing the need for agencies to modernize their facility management processes. At Esri's Fed GIS conference in DC, I spoke with Kyle Yoder, Threat Management Branch Chief at the Administrative Office of the U.S. Courts. He explained the different ways he and his team are using GIS to improve employee and customer experience while ensuring secure facilities and offices.
So what we've built out, multiple services centered around tracking of physical security equipment and physical security projects, tracking of incidents going on around the country. We have about 850 facilities. We, on a daily basis, track incidents that are impacting or potentially impacting all of them. We use the system to then generate reports to inform our leadership at the administrative office of what's going on in case they get phone calls from a judge, a court, so that they don't go in cold. We're using it right now with a pilot indoors project. As we talk about real property management, we want to make sure that security and public safety is represented in the mix. So we've partnered with our facility management staff to try and build out an environment where people can, from soup to nuts, from parking to badging in the building, to sitting at a desk, to reporting a problem in the building, to who's using what space, to tracking who responded, I'm safe, who didn't, and where do they sit in an emergency. Bringing all that together in near real time so that in an emergency, we can work with our public safety partners who are our service providers in that area, the local fire department, local PD, to facilitate a faster response to people in need.
Yeah, and I think this is going to become increasingly important as we are navigating different return to work orders. There's been, a call for people to come back to the office. So managing the indoor space is both important just for that efficiency and for that security aspect. Do you mind talking a little bit more about that partnership between different offices and branches within some of this GIS projects?
Yeah, so it's something that I think in every organization you have to grow out and continue to reinforce. The biggest question that needs to get answered up front is, the age-old, what's in it for me? How does this benefit me? Why would I want to do this? I already have ways to do these things. Mm-hmm. So the way we went about it was first building out a mock data to illustrate capability. But the mock data was built around our actual facility. So we built out mock data and mock scenarios on reserving a parking space, reserving a desk, reporting a work order issue, taking accountability during an emergency, different scenarios. And then we pulled leadership, mid-level leadership into the room and demonstrated with the mock data what a data-rich environment would look like and how many different functions could come together into one. And also what the cost savings was in replacing all the other disparate systems that we used to do these functions. This cost us this. You're currently paying 10 times what this alone would cost us. There's a savings there. Also down the road, you might see a cost savings with a little bit of staff reduction if that's necessary, because now we've gained efficiencies in accessing the data, analyzing the data, utilizing it for particular functions. Once we were done with that, we got pushed to the C-suite level pretty quickly to present the use case, clean it up a little bit, take some inputs about how the mock data was maybe a little bit off here, a little bit off there. Made it to the C-suite, did a similar presentation, got them really bought into primarily the public safety and life safety aspects of it. I mean, people care about facility management, but it's not as impactful to some of your C-suite folks as this is going to save lives. Once they were wrapped into that, then they saw the cost savings efficiencies with the facility management layered in and everything. We got the go ahead for a pilot. As we're putting together the pilot, we then are leveraging every opportunity to demonstrate its use. So as I mentioned in the room, very first opportunity we leveraged was, director, try out this parking app. You know, as silly as it sounds.
It's so simple, but it's that kind of like building blocks to life-saving technology.
Yes, and currently we're doing testing of our emergency notification service as we gear up towards reinstituting, as you said, return to work is here, fire evacuation drills and the like. So as we do those tests, this is the next opportunity that we're getting back in front of the deputy director and director to say, hey, this is how we brought it all together. Here's who's responded, who didn't respond. As a scenario-driven discussion based on that response rate, here's who checked into work today that we wouldn't have been able to account for because they're not utilizing the service. They're not. But just the visual of being able to see rapidly 60% of the staff are good, 40% aren't. Here's where that 40 are sitting today. How do we know they're in the building? Well, they badged in and we captured their entry into the building at this time and they haven't badged out.
Yeah, there's a lot of like safety implications, like you said, and I think that's something that often gets forgotten when it comes to, I mean, I should say it is something that I take for granted when I walk into a space. I'm assuming that it is safe and that the people around me are going to know how I should be able to get out or where I should go in case of an emergency. And I think some of the use cases that were really showcased well was if there's an emergency that happens, we're prepared for it. We're not waiting for something else to happen. We're ready to go.
So in our build out, we're planning to take it a step further. Our choice of ENS on-solve services, they have a Q code where visitors can scan it. And while they're on-prem, be a part of our emergency notification, receive the alerts. We want to tie that to a visitor facing indoor navigation. So if an alert comes out, the theory being, you see the alert, you can flip over to the indoor navigation app, you see where you're standing, it's telling you where your nearest egress point is, and then how to get there because you're not familiar with the building, you've never been in it, that kind of thing.
I think the other thing is that's really enhancing both the customer experience and also your employees' experience, right? I think you mentioned in the talk as well that, some employees may not even know, where these are located because these buildings are so big, they're so, they're just set up differently.
So we're starting the thought process now of building out a walkthrough service. So on any given Sunday, if I'm an employee and I haven't had a fire drill in a while or anything like that, or I haven't been in the building in a while, the idea being is that you'll be able to go to this service. You'll be able to drop in, this is where I'm sitting. And then you'll be able to virtually walk through what your egress route would be. You'll be able to virtually walk through, how do I get to the nearest fire extinguisher? Where's the nearest safety cabinet with an AED and Narcan? How would I go get that if I needed it? From the comfort of your desk, a virtual walkthrough through all these scenarios based on you telling the service where you're at that day. So if you're a person who utilizes desk reservations on a daily when you come in because you don't have a permanent seat assignment, you sit down in the morning and you know about the service and you're comfortable with it, then you're like, okay, the first thing I want to do this morning is I'm on a whole nother floor today. Let me pull this up. Let me see how this impacts me getting out of the building, being safe, what actions I might need to take if there's an active shooter. Where's the nearest safe room?
Before we wrap up, I think the next thing that I just want to address is some forward-looking and opportunity moments, both in what are you hoping happens between now and the next SRE Fed GIS conference, and also just what do you hope for the employees of the court systems who may be using these apps and getting a little bit more comfortable with them.
So the next steps that we're hoping to happen before the next Fed GIS is wrapping in more of the facility management functions and the life cycle maintenance functions. So all this, and that applies to the public safety and security equipment as well. All the life cycle dates of all the pads and AEDs. How old is that camera on the wall? When's the last time it was replaced? Is it having an issue? When's the repair slotted? We want to get all that in there as well, so that we can really start leveraging, in addition to the things we're building out for public safety and security, the facility management and lifecycle maintenance functionality, and then really show a singular environment. And we want to then package that up in a final step as a quote unquote out of the box solution for other judiciary facilities. Meaning, yes, when we drop it in, we'll have to get your floor plans in there and do some LiDAR scans and wire up the data from your particular devices and things. But all the wraparound services are already built. So you're not having to build the customer-facing application. You're not having to build the parking application or the check-in application. You're just really having to wire it up at that point. So that's where we hope to get. We are partnering with them on insider threat. So usually in an agency, insider threat is the realm of cybers. They're watching people's online patterns, messaging patterns, looking for disgruntled employees that may turn into a problem. There's a physical security nexus there. So we're now able to contribute information and data about building access patterns. Are they regular or irregular for the employee you're concerned about? Are they accessing areas of the building that they don't work in? And then, of course, if it's deemed that somebody is an issue, then we're able to give almost instantaneous feedback of, yes, now we've limited access or denied access. We've done the physical security part. You've done the cyber part. We've brought them together.
Yeah, really creating that holistic view of security and keeping everyone and everything safe.
Yep.
Well, Kyle, thank you so much for joining me on the program. I really appreciate it.
Thank you for having me.
GovCast, along with Cybercast and HealthCast, is a production of GovCIO Media and Research. For more podcasts and to check out the other shows, head to govciomedia.com.